right. Aren't we feeling good today? I just wanted to welcome you all. I appreciate you being here. And I wanted to let you know that I am happy even though I'm hiding behind my mask. I am happy. And I want you to know I'm happy. And my teeth are clean at the same time. I had to wear that because a beautiful congregant made that for me after I made a little comment in one of our Zoom groups. And I'm wearing it. And I'm wearing it out in public. I'm making people happy. All right, so wherever you are in time and space, I appreciate you for making time to be with us tonight. It's important that we gather and we hear messages like this so we can figure out ways not only to heal our lives, but heal the lives of people around us and to heal this planet today. Okay, so I'm kind of excited because after 20 weeks, yes, 20 weeks of me talking about Unity's 32 statements of faith, I finally get to talk about something else. Come on, let's hear some applause for that. Yeah, from the peanut gallery. It's exciting stuff. It feels good, and it's warm and fuzzy inside. Well, this is actually something I've been looking forward to talking about today for a few months now, as I've been in that talk series for the last 20 weeks. And it is called The Adjacent Possible. Now, my goal today is to help us understand what this is and how it pertains to our lives today. To get there, we need to know some of the steps along the way without burning too much time on the details of each of those steps. So we're going to get into it right now. In 2002, theoretical biologist Stuart Kauffman introduced the concept the adjacent possible theory. This theory helps to explain our physical beginnings, where we come from, and more specifically, how biological systems advance and lead to evolution, which led to us and more complex systems. Moving right along, in 2010, Stephen Johnson uses this concept in his book, Where Good Ideas Come From, to describe how new insights can be generated in previously unexplored areas. So Stephen takes Stuart's theory in biology and looks at how it applies to thinking and problem solving today. Specifically, how we come up with ideas that are groundbreaking and advance us forward as a culture or as a movement. Now, after Stephen, Reverend Paul Hasselbeck in 2016 adapts this theory to human consciousness and metaphysics in a YouTube video that he created. Now, Reverend Paul is a teacher of mine from my ministerial school training at Unity Village. His YouTube video is very insightful and can be found just by searching for Adjacent Possible on YouTube if you want to see what he had to say about that. Okay, all of that leads up to this fantastic moment. In 2020, Rev.Shad does the adjacent possible theory no justice with an uninformed explanation to an empty room. Yeah, it's very exciting. That's what I'm going to do right now with a big right next to my face. Okay. Now, what I am going to attempt to explain is not the original adjacent possible biological theory, but rather how the theory has evolved and now relates to human consciousness and the human experience, which will require just a basic understanding of the theory itself, which is good because I barely even have a basic understanding of it myself. So, we will turn to this website to help us out. From medium.com, they say both evolution and innovation tend to happen with the bounds of the adjacent possible. In other words, the realm of possibilities available at any given moment. So within the bounds of the adjacent possible, which is to say, certain things have to exist in order to become the building blocks for something else to exist, which is described quite well as the article continues. It says, eBay could not be created in the 1950s. First, someone had to invent computers, then a way to connect those computers, then a World Wide Web for people to browse, and then a platform which supported online payments. From a physical standpoint, eBay could not exist in 1950 because the building blocks necessary to create eBay did not exist yet. Perhaps some visuals will help us all get on board with this idea. And I think charts always make something fun and exciting. So we're going to do charts tonight like crazy.
All right. 1950, what was currently possible? Radio, telephone, television, and incredibly ugly sofas, for those of you that might be familiar with that time. So although much of eBay was probably invented on an ugly sofa, you need to have much more technology to create eBay than what was available or possible in 1950. Even if someone thought of eBay back in 1950, it was still not possible to create. It was still impossible to come about because it was just much too big of a jump in technology from what was available at that time. So before trying to jump to eBay, someone in 1950 would have to look at what is possible that is less of a jump than eBay. Something that is not possible yet, but is close to being possible with what is available at the time in 1950. Which brings us to the adjacent possible. Computers and networking are not so far off from the standpoint of 1950, and the internet is just a bit further than that. So we could say the possibility of computers, networking, and the internet are adjacent to what is possible in 1950. I know I pretty much lost all you there, and that was my goal, so I feel like I accomplished something tonight. All right. So networking, computers, and the internet, they are close enough to be something that one could reach for in 1950. So they would be the adjacent possible. But the finished product of eBay is just too far away from 1950 to be possible. So it winds up being, from the perspective and the standpoint of 1950, it is not adjacent and it is not possible. All right. Everyone's following along. Everyone at home, nod your heads to your computer or your laptop or your iPad or whatever you're sitting behind so I get the acknowledgement. Okay, I felt that. Moving on. It's not adjacent because it is too far away from 1950. It is not possible because the building blocks required to create it didn't exist yet. So let's sidetrack just for a second here. This concept might be difficult because we as humans love the idea of dreaming big and going after big accomplishments in life. So we have sayings like reaching for the stars or shooting at the moon. We love these ideas so much that sometimes we even combine them together. Shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll land among the stars, which conceptually is great on paper, but may not be all that practical in reality. The article goes on to say, great leaps beyond the adjacent possible are rare and doomed to be short-term failures. The environment is simply not ready for them yet. Had YouTube been launched in the 1990s, it would have flopped, since neither the fast internet connections nor the software required to view videos was available then. We actually have a term for people who try to make this leap. We call them ahead of their time. In the old days, when someone was too ahead of their time, they were physically punished like Galileo. Today, they are just socially destroyed by being called conspiracy theorists or whack jobs or Unity ministers. So the point here is that society and the systems that we live in might be willing to consider the adjacent possible, but they cannot accept because they cannot comprehend the not adjacent, not possible. If something is too far outside the box they live in, it is upsetting, it is uncomfortable, it creates fear and often anger or resentment. And that will be the stepping stone for where we go next.
Now please sing along with us, or with me at home. I know you know this one. Now I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music. do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof. The moonlight and her beauty overthrew ya. She tied you to a kitchen chair. She broke your throne and she cut your hair. And from your lips she drew the hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. You say I took the name in vain. I don't even know the name, but if I did, well, really, what's it to ya? There's a blaze of light in every word. It doesn't matter which you heard, the holy or the broken. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I did my best, it wasn't much. I couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I've told the truth, I didn't come to fool ya. And even though it all went wrong, I'll stand before the Lord of song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah, 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 hallelujah,
That's one of the great, sung by two of the greats, performed by two of the greats there. Well done, team. Hallelujah. All right. So I hope I haven't lost you yet, because now we're going to get to something very crucial. That should be a word. It's got a nice pizzazz to it. It's very crucial for our existence as human beings, which I will sum up with this. The human mind is only so flexible. When it comes to the way we think, we believe, and the way we experience the world it can only stretch so far at any given time, which is the same limitation when it comes to stretching the body. You don't want to try this your first day at a yoga class. Trust me, I used to be the person who would. When you stretch a muscle, you do a little bit at a time to slowly expand its capability. Trying to go too far too fast causes injury, causes unrest. So in stretching, there is the adjacent possible and not adjacent not possible. For the first timer, working towards getting 6 inches from their toes is the adjacent possible. But hands under their toes is the not adjacent or not possible, which is easy for us to understand physically, but more difficult for us to understand mentally. Our minds are only able to stretch into the ideas that exist in the adjacent possible. But ideas in the not adjacent, not possible, are just too far away for it to be able to stretch into. Let's use our belief in God as an example and go back to our chart. Suppose someone has an initial idea, initial basic understanding of God. They have accepted the idea that God does in fact exist in some way, shape, or form. And this is where most of us probably fall in the world religions of today. Now, introducing the idea that there is a bit of God within this person is a stretch, but a stretch that exists in the realm of the adjacent possible. It's not too far of a stretch for someone who has a basic understanding of God, because most religions state that God created all things and God is in its creations. But take that same person with just an initial basic understanding of God and try to get them to see that not only is God in them, but God is them, and in fact nothing exists other than God, their head will explode, because the concept is just too far out of their comfort zone and can't exist in the world as they see it. And actually, this process happens all the time to spiritual seekers who are trying to go beyond what their current perceptions and awareness can handle, which you quite often hear about when people are first introduced to the book or the course, A Course in Miracles. They run into quotes like this that say, "There is nothing outside you. That is what you must ultimately learn." It's a difficult concept for them to grasp, and for most people, it's just in the not adjacent, not possible that they can't get their head to wrap around. And this finally brings me to my point for today. Your mind can only stretch so far, and this is also true of the minds of the people who are around you. Listen very closely to what I'm about to say. Something that you believe and perceive to be true, which exists in your realm of possible, very likely exists in someone else's realm of not adjacent, not possible. Something you take for granted as being true for you doesn't even exist in the realm of truth for them. And now I need you to listen even more closely than you did before, because this is very likely a lesson that we will all need to hear, which exists in everyone's realm of not adjacent, not possible right now. You ready? This is getting serious. What you believe to be true and what they believe to be true are both equally correct and equally incorrect, because it is all a matter of perspective, as Einstein surmised in his theory of relativity. From my perspective, the world looks one way, and from yours, it looks another. Neither one of us is right or wrong. It is just perspective. So if you're standing as a Republican in the center of your possible, looking out at a Democrat describing their center of possible, it appears as not adjacent and not possible. Inversely, standing as a Democrat in the center of your possible, listening to a Republican speaking from their center of their possible, it sounds not adjacent and not possible. And so it goes with different religions, different sexes, different ethnicities, different financial and social classes, or any opposing ways of thinking in this world. Everyone thinks their point of view is the right one. Everyone looks at other points of view as not only impractical, but impossible. And continuing to look at the world strictly from our personal perspective center of possible does not heal the separation that plagues humanity today. The only way that you heal separation is by the overlap of possibility, which is to say, the area that might be a stretch for both positions, but not so far that it seems impossible to either position. If we each stand at the center of our own perspective, it is unrealistic and likely impossible to expect anyone else in their center of their perspective to be able to look at life from our current center of perspective. But if we are willing to start stepping towards each other, to use our empathy, understanding, and imagination so we can look at life just a little bit more from the other person's perspective, we can meet in the overlap of possibility. Everyone needs drinkable water. Everyone needs breathable air. Everyone wants enough food to eat. Everyone wants a healthy family, a stable income, a system that allows them to live a life that is abundant, fulfilling, and enjoyable. So what kind of conversation can we have in the adjacent possible that stretches the perception of each person without pushing either too far? What kind of thoughts can you start thinking to build a bridge between you and those you think are unlike you? A Course in Miracles says, every thought you have makes up some segment of the world you see. It is with your thoughts, then, that we must work if your perception of the world is to be changed. So what if, when you see someone who seems to be unlike you, you start practicing this tool? And you can do it without ever having to meet this person. It could be someone you saw on television or across the street or on the other side of the world. Just begin to imagine what type of things you both share in the zone of the adjacent possible. What might be a stretch for you to understand, but not so far that you are just unwilling to go there at all? Maybe you are not willing to say the earth is flat, but perhaps you would consider that it is not the exact shape and size you previously thought. That would be the adjacent possible. We've got to start working on expanding ourselves into new perspectives if we desire healing to occur between divided people on this planet. So I'm going to finish with an affirmation we can all start using today that will really create an instantaneous and lasting change in our lives. This is powerful. So if you need to screenshot this, get ready. Here we go. I don't know what I'm talking about, and I probably never did. Go ahead and just repeat that throughout your day as many times as you need to. I don't know what I'm talking about, and I probably never did. Try this week and see how liberating it actually is. It will be especially useful in this time when everybody thinks they are an expert and are telling everyone else how the government should handle this pandemic. Armchair quarterbacking a situation they actually have no direct or actual comprehension of whatsoever, because it's never happened in any of our lifetimes at this scale. We don't know. So the affirmation is, I don't know what I'm talking about and probably never did. All right, we're going to take this truth this possibility, this idea, into the silence, into meditation. So I invite you to close your eyes wherever you are right now, whatever format you're watching this on, wherever you find yourself seated, standing, whether you're around people or not. Just close your eyes. Allow your consciousness to sink down, to drop in just behind the heart, away from the intellect that thinks it's knowing, as trying to rationalize everything that's going on around it, away from the ego that wants to take a stance to show that it's right. We drop down into the back of the heart, letting go of any stance, of any desire to be right, of any need to figure out. We drop down into that place that simply is not concerned with such things. No matter what is going on around us that we perceive to be true, that we perceive to be real, none of it is actually correct. None of it is actually the way we think it is. But something that is true is that there is an opportunity for peace, joy, fulfillment, love, bliss, and abundance. No matter what we perceive in the world, there is this opportunity for all of these realities within. And I can call them realities because they are unchanging, unwavering, unchangeable, existing in the pit of our reality, which we are, a consciousness, a being, a soul that happens to be just taking a pit stop in a physical journey. And by slowing down, dropping down, becoming aware of the breath, letting go of the thoughts, we grab a hold of that reality in the smallest sense at first. But the more often we do it, the more focused we are on it, the more time we commit to it, the more that inner reality becomes our outer reality. The more time we spend in peace, the more peace we see. The more time we spend in joy, the more joy we create. The more abundance we recognize within, the more abundant we will be without. And so we take a moment now to be in this quiet, in this new reality. How good it feels to drop in even just for a few minutes. to slow down, to shut out the distractions of the world, and to remind ourselves of what truly matters. There is a divine, a God, an essence, a power, whatever you want to call it, with a plan that unfolds whether we know it or not. And we can release into that reality, or we can fight against it. And today, each and every one of us chooses to release to that and find the joy and comfort that comes with that. And as we begin to step ourselves out of this moment of silence and meditation, we hold on to this essence and this experience for the rest of our night, the rest of our week. And we are grateful that this bliss is so close at hand when we're willing to make the effort to walk towards it. And so it is. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I want to add a quick tag onto this talk that just sort of hit me that I don't want you to misunderstand. A lot of people are going to think what I'm saying is, oh, we just need to find what we have in common. And actually, that's not what I'm saying. You need to find what you don't have in common, what neither of you have in common, and start stepping into that space. Because trying to find what you have in common is actually somewhat selfish. To say, what do you have that is like what I have? Is to say, you know what? What is beyond both of us that we could step in together and create something new? That's the possibility we need to work towards. Well, we're doing something awesome here at Unity of Boulder. We have a mission for this service, which is transforming lives, inspiring people to make a positive difference in our world. Which, as these bans get lifted, as these stay-at-home orders get lifted in the coming weeks, it's going to be incumbent upon us to go to phase 2 of this mission, to start getting out into the world and start helping people. For those of us that have been trapped indoors, I hope you've been taking this time to transform your own life doing part 1, doing your spiritual practice more than you ever have been doing it, doing your meditation and your prayer and your positive thinking more than you've ever been doing it because you finally have the time, and you always said, if I had the time, I'd be doing it. Well, gosh darn, I hope you're actually doing that right now. So by the time we get through this, you have transformed your life, and you're ready for stage 2 to step out into the world and start inspiring and transforming the lives of the people around you. Because it is a twofold process. If we get trapped in step 1, always thinking about ourselves and our spiritual practice, we are missing half of the entire experience, the entire purpose of our being. Giving and serving is so important on the spiritual path, and that is a part of the service we're talking about right now, to give and serve. Hopefully, as we open up in the coming weeks, we'll be able to get people back in this building so you can physically serve what we have going on here. But right now, you can serve by sharing this stream, wherever you're watching it, onto your pages, onto your outlets, so that more and more people can hear this message and start to heal the wounds that they're feeling and seeing in the people around them. And by supporting Unity of Boulder today with your financial contributions, you are fulfilling 2 parts of our mission. You're supporting the place that's helping you transform your own life, and you're supporting the place that's helping to transform the lives of everyone in this community and beyond, now that we've gone digital and we're reaching the entire world. And people are watching us all from over the United States and from countries around the world. So it's a very exciting thing that's happening. So we give, so we don't create a blockade in our own consciousness, in our own wallets, in our own bank accounts, trying to hoard what we have, but we give so that we open this flow of abundance so it goes out into the world, so that it keeps coming back and through us. So it doesn't stop at us, but that it flows through us continually out into the world. And that is the process that we teach. And there's many ways to give here. You can text to give to this number. You can give on our website. You can call the office to actually set up recurring giving. You can download the Easy Tithe app, which is, believe it or not, easy. And you can send in cash by check or cash or check by mail to our address. We're still accepting that lovingly, anything that we can receive at this time. All right. I do want to remind you that we are doing so many things on Zoom. that everyone here has a perpetual Zoom headache happening right here in the frontal cortex. I'm just kidding. We do a lot of meetings on Zoom. We're spending a lot of time on Zoom, and I'm actually, in a couple weeks, going to be doing a full week-long, 8-hour-a-day meeting with the Unity Worldwide Ministries board that I'm on, all on Zoom, 8 hours a day for 4 days. Very excited about that. It's actually 5 days, so I think we might get potty breaks. I'm not sure, but we'll see. All right, so we do Monday meditation. I'm leading that Mondays on Zoom at 5:30 p.m. We have the coffee with the ministers twice a week, Tuesday and Friday at noon. And the purpose of that is to come with your questions and what's going on in your life, things that you're looking for clarity on, or stories you want to share that are positive and uplifting. And if you're listening to these services, write down questions that come up, and this is your opportunity to ask the ministers in person questions about the talk or things you ran into. We do have our singles group on the 1st and 3rd, alternative healing group with Norma on the 2nd and 4th, women's discussion groups happening every week on Thursday, and of course Sunday fellowship. You get, once again, an opportunity to get with the ministers. It will be tomorrow. It's about 12:05-ish. We get that going, so you can hop on at noon, and we'll see you there. So we do have a 9 a.m. service tomorrow, which is our meditative contemplative service, and then we have Santicia's service at 11 a.m. You can be a part of that on this same live stream opportunity. Last thing, I know I've said a lot, the food drive is still going on. We need to collect food for these food banks in the area. There's a lot of people struggling financially right now and are really leaning on the resources of these food banks. So we've got the barrel out front of our building. There's no contact with anybody. You can just drop in the barrel. We bring it in later on. We get them to the food banks throughout town. So when you're shopping, think about grabbing a couple more things that you could drive by and just drop in those barrels. I mean, get out of your car and drop it in. Don't drive by and just throw it out the window. I mean, as fun as that might be. Mike usually does it that way, but he's adventurous. All right. Well, thank you for being with us. I appreciate you taking the time, and I hope you're enjoying your life no matter what's happening. And go out and spread some love, virtually if you have to, but physically when you can. And have a wonderful night. Thank you.